Good morning, everyone. Welcome to New York Metro Weather's daily forecast discussion for Sunday, August 21st, 2011, which will also serve as a severe weather briefing, as today looks to be an active day with the potential for significant and even widespread severe weather. We take a look at the 500 millibar surface depiction on the NAM for Sunday. We'll start Sunday morning. You can see there's a big upper level trough up to the northwest over southeast Canada over the Great Lakes, and this feature is shifting to the south and east. This will be the main area of concern as Sunday draws on, as this feature will provide the forcing that will begin to trigger severe thunderstorms. One feature to note right off the bat is a small shortwave over New York around 15Z tomorrow, which is Sunday morning, later morning. We'll get back to this feature in a little bit. But first, we'll take a look at the synoptic setup. You can see there's a surface low over New England. It's weak, but you can see the pressure falls. There's a cold front, and it's a pretty good synoptic setup for this time of year. This kind of upper level trough is actually quite anomalous for this time of year. I mean, it's mid to late August. We don't see this broad of a shortwave this time of year, and you can see that even after Sunday, this thing's coming down with a vengeance. So it's something to keep in mind as we go along. With the heating that is expected to occur Sunday afternoon and the approach of this upper level trough, most of the models have a good amount of instability. You can see the SREF has upwards of 1500 joules of surface-based CAPE by Sunday afternoon. It's important to note, though, that early on, notice how much trouble this CAPE has forming. Look at the a bit of a wedge here over New England. The dew points are mixing out in the forecast soundings. The models are keying in on the shortwave, which I noted earlier on the NAM, which you can see tomorrow morning. This is helping to mix out some of the dew points, and it's also really it's a little bit of a problem, and you can see even on some of the earlier models, the winds were backing, so they were southeast by the afternoon, and that was causing a marine layer or a sea breeze and a more stable surface layer near the coast. So it's something to watch out for. It's not on tonight's models, but it's an interesting scenario which we'll have to watch for, especially with clouds and all that can develop with that kind of situation. But the SREF has the instability axis over our area, 21Z tomorrow, over 1500 joules of CAPE. With that setup, the next thing we usually look at is a shear, and the effective bulk shear is over 40 knots, which is more than sufficient for organized severe thunderstorms in our area. Here's the resulting severe weather probabilities on the SREF, and you can see these are pretty high. I mean, we have gone over these types of threats a few times this year, and this is the highest we've seen. So the probability of severe weather is there. The SPCWRF, which is a pretty highly regarded model amongst the severe weather community, has a squall line developing just over eastern PA, western New Jersey, and then moving into New York City, but weakening over Long Island. I think it's important to note that the severe weather threat on Long Island is going to be lower than it is elsewhere, and the reason being, notice the wind direction here over the last few frames. It's initially southwest, and then watch how it turns so that the winds over Long Island are coming out of the southeast, which is a more stable wind direction. Although this time of year the ocean temperatures have responded, they are warmer, it is not as dramatic, it's still there, and we saw it the other day where a stable surface layer developed and the storms became elevated as they moved from New Jersey eastward towards Long Island. The analogs, which is a tool that we can use to look at the setups in the past meteorology where the synoptic setup has been similar. And we draw the mean, and then we take a look at the percentage probability of a wind report, damaging wind. You can see that the highest probabilities are actually back to the west over Pennsylvania, over western New England. You can see how they taper off near the coast. It makes a lot of sense. So that's something to keep in mind as well. This is how we try to delineate where the best area is, or the highest probability area is, to get severe weather. It's important also to look at the type of severe weather we could be getting. When you look at the wind fields and you look at the approach of this shortwave trough, really the main support is for damaging winds. But there is an area over New Jersey, western New England, northern New Jersey, northwestern New Jersey specifically, and then into western New England, where the low-level winds are favorable for some rotation in any thunderstorms that can develop ahead of the main line of thunderstorms, where we could see an isolated tornado or two. The Storm Prediction Center's Day 1 outlook was issued just a few minutes ago. There's a broad slight risk, but it's important to note this is not a basic slight risk. There's a 5% chance of a tornado, which is higher than a normal slight risk. There is also a 30% damaging wind contour. Now, we spoke about this yesterday. This is pretty much what we like to call an enhanced slight risk. The 15% chance of wind within 25 miles of a point triggers a slight risk automatically. You can see how the 15% matches up with the slight. The 30% is an area where the Storm Prediction Center is expecting the severe weather risk to be more focused and potentially more significant. The 45% would be a moderate risk, so this is not triggering a moderate risk, but more a slight risk, with an area in the 30% area where the potential for wind reports could be more localized. So tomorrow has its concerns. We spoke about it with the shortwave coming through the area early in the morning, potentially causing some problems at the surface, causing dew points to mix out. It's something to keep in mind. We're going to have to watch it. As with all severe weather events in this area, it's extremely intricate. It's an intricate process, and it's so meticulous to watch and study, and it's really humbling to try and forecast these type of events. But the bottom line, if you're looking for a forecast, is that today, Sunday, holds the potential to be an active day, with severe weather potentially becoming widespread by the afternoon and continuing into the evening, with a squall line or a broken line of severe thunderstorms moving towards the New York City area from Pennsylvania and upstate New York. The potential also does exist for an isolated tornado or two in the squall line or ahead of the squall line if any thunderstorms or supercells can develop. Otherwise, the potential for damaging winds, some hail, and as we mentioned, isolated tornadoes. Stay with us, stay safe, keep an eye to the sky. We'll be on Twitter, we'll be on Facebook, and we'll be updating all day on Sunday. As usual, send us your reports and pictures and thoughts, and we'll be interacting with you guys and relaying all the watches and warnings as soon as they come in. So we'll speak to you guys soon, and stay safe, and remember to stay alert. And if you see any severe weather, make sure you check the warnings, check the watches, and if you are in a warning, get indoors and get away from the storm, because these storms could be potentially significant. So we'll talk to you guys soon. Stay with us, and stay safe.